to Shaq's house. Shaq's house. That's our Shaq. You're now in Shaq's house. That's our Shaq. Welcome to Shaq's house. That's our Shaq.
What's up, fellow Shackhousers? Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Black Friday as well, too. Hope yours went well. Mine was alright. Plenty of food to go around. Anyway, hope y'all enjoyed Hawkeye. Yeah, I know I did. The two-parter. Yeah, they're coming back with a more grounded in reality Marvel characters, like they were doing with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and not using people with superpowers. No Loki or what's it called, WandaVision, what ifs, nothing like that. It's now back to reality, if you want to call it that. Anyway, the first premiere of Hawkeye was actually a two-parter episode. Yeah, the first part was entitled "Never Meet Your Heroes." You know that whole adage where it's like, if you meet the people you idolize, you will be disappointed by them. To a large extent, that's true. And that theme, it really hits home by the end of this episode. Anyway, the episode starts off with a flashback in 2012 to New York City during the Avengers battle against the Chitauri and Loki, right? You got a married couple named Derek and Eleanor Bishop. They're arguing in their penthouse about potentially having to move, and their young daughter, Kate, she's eavesdropping on them, right? She stands on a dresser trying to hear their conversation, but she lets it slip by letting a toy fall or whatever that as she's listening to their whole conversation. To which point the father, Derek, he goes in and tries to comfort her. Later that morning, the mother, Eleanor, tries to do some bonding with her daughter, at which point the Chitauri, the aliens, whatever, they start attacking New York City, leaving buildings, including their penthouse, in ruins, right? They tear apart the penthouse, and what Kate sees in the ruins is, what she sees is Stark Tower, Tony Stark's tower, right? Amidst the whole battles going on. And she also sees Hawkeye's arrow. One of Hawkeye's arrows saves her from being hit by one of the aliens, right? She watches him, and apparently he inspires her. Yeah, the penthouse is destroyed, and the father's dead, and they have a funeral for Derek. At which point, Kate is adamant about wanting to protect her mother, right? And she wants to protect her remaining family, and so she asks her mother for a bow and an arrow. One of the things that her mother tells her, that she tellingly tells her, was, things don't just fall from the sky. That may come back in later episodes. Anyway, in the present day, it's got to be somewhere between 2023 but before 2029. It's after the blip. Yeah, Kate's a daredevil at her little prep school college campus. She's a college student at this point. Yeah, she's part of the archery team. She's on a lot of physical regimens, and she's bet a few of the students that she can actually use one of her arrows to ring the clock tower bell. She has plenty of her own trick arrows, and at first she doesn't succeed in ringing the bell, but the second time she does that, and then some. She destroys that motherfucker. Yeah, which is kind of an easy fix. A semi-easy fix considering how loaded her family is with money. As a counterpoint to that, we got Clint Barton, yeah, Hawkeye and his kids. They're sitting through Rogers, the musical, which is a cringe-worthy Broadway song and dance about the Avengers battle in New York City. Clint, yeah, he's really uncomfortable with this, and fans follow him for selfies everywhere he goes. And outside, his daughter, Lila, she picks up on the fact that he's still kind of bothered about Natasha, the Black Widow, about her death. Yeah, he's still kind of upset about that. I mean, that was his A-alike. That was his Ace Boon Coon right there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but he has 3 kids at this point, and they're all older than the last time we saw them. You got Lila and his 2 sons, Cooper and Nathaniel. Anyway, Kate makes her way home from college, and Eleanor, it looks like they got the penthouse rebuilt, right? Eleanor, yeah, she's head of a security firm, Bishop Security, and she's pretty well to do. And she's dressing up so they can get ready to host a charity ball, a charity auction or whatever. And Eleanor, while very rich, she chastises her daughter about the bell. She tells her that people who are young and people who are rich, they all think they're invincible. And Kate, because she's always been both, she thinks that she's invincible, and she tells her daughter, take it from someone, me, who hasn't always been either. You're not invincible. You're going to get hurt. Yeah, that's going to come back to haunt her in some ways. Those are arc words. And at the house, Kate, she notices that her mother now has a lot of swords, courtesy of her fiance. Oh yeah, and the actors that portray people. Let's see, Jeremy Renner, yeah, he plays Hawkeye. Hailee Steinwell, she plays Kate Bishop. Vera Farmiga, she plays Eleanor Bishop. And Eleanor's fiance, Jack, he's played by Luis Dalton, I think his name is. I don't know if I got the first name right, but I know his first name is Dalton. His last name is Dalton, a Mexican American actor. And Jack is a pretty rich guy, and the swords are all because of him, right? Yeah, his comic counterpart is the Swordsman. The Swordsman, he takes in Clint Barton after he runs away from home and trains him in the use of blades, while another guy called Trickshot trains him in the use of the bow and arrow, and that led him to become Hawkeye. But anyway, Jack, Eleanor, and Kate, they all attend the charity party that was mentioned a few moments ago. Meanwhile, Clint, he's trying to be super dad, right? He's having like a dinner with all three of his kids at a Chinese restaurant, and bought like enough food to feed more than 3 people for over a month, right? And his wife Laura, played by Linda Cardellini, yeah, she's back, and she calls him and wants to know if he's going to be spending Christmas with the kids, to which he is, but evidently he's making up for lost time. He's still not comfortable with being well known either, because when he's more than happy to pay the restaurant the bill, but they insist that that it's on the house for all the good he's done as an Avenger. Yeah, Clint's very uncomfortable with that. He just wants to be a regular average Joe. Kate runs into an old family friend. She runs into a man named Armand, right? Yeah, played by Simon Callow, the guy that played in Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls, and the main villain in that film. She learns from him that Jack has proposed to Eleanor, and they're going to be married, much to Kate's consternation. And she's even more suspicious of Jack after this. She confronts her mother at the charity ball about that, and she tries not to be annoyed by it, and steps outside just to get some air, and sees a dog, a no-name dog, a stray dog who just runs away from her. But they're going to come back to that later, though. Anyway, when Kate comes back inside, she sees Armand arguing with her mother, and it looks like he was threatening her. At which point, when Armand's out of sight, Kate point blank asks her mother if Armand was doing exactly that, to which point Kate says, "I'm not sure if he was or not." But Kate remains suspicious, and she's like a Harriet the Spy, Michelle Trachtenberger type chick, right? So she follows Armand into the basement of the building, follows him to what appears to be a black market auction, right? Yeah, a lot of black market items are there for sale, and Armand's nephew Jack, he's there as well too, and they argue back and forth. They seem to have some kind of illicit thing going on. And among some of the items for sale is the Ronin sword. The Ronin sword that we saw Hawkeye use in Avengers Endgame back in 2019. Yeah, the Ronin sword is for sale, and it was found at the Avengers compound, which was destroyed in Avengers Endgame. Jack, he wants the sword, but Armand, he outbids him. Jack figures, Jack figures, I can't pay for it now, but I'm going to I'm going to inherit the money one day in order to do so, which implies that he may be marrying Eleanor for very shady reasons. Next, the Ronin suit is also up next for auction, but then the auction is attacked by a group of Russians. Apparently, I think Jackie set it up because while everybody's distracted, he put the Ronin sword, in his pocket. But the Russians, they're not there looking for that. They're there looking for a watch, which is apparently a key to the Avengers compound. Kate, she finds the Ronin suit, she puts it on, and saves all the auctioneers, including Jack and Armand. Yeah, Kate demonstrates in the fight scenes that she can fight, but she's no Avenger, and by that I mean she's no pro. I mean, she's not like, she bears a lot of resemblances to her comic counterpart. You know, she's from a rich kid background, but in the book it's her mother who dies during her childhood, not her father. And while she's in the prep school, what prompts her to become more of a physical, proactive chick is that she got raped while she was on campus. So in addition to taking up archery, she takes up self-defense, other fighting classes in order to become like almost like a Captain America type chick, like the peak of physical perfection. Yeah, she eludes the Russians and finds that dog that that ran away from her earlier. Back at Clint Barton's household, though, Clint and the kids, they see the news report that shows Kate in the Ronin armor, and then Clint gets worried because remember, he used to be Ronin, so he's worried about all these enemies that might come back at this new person. So he's got to get the armor off the streets as quick as possible. Yeah, Kate, she thinks that Jack and Armand are criminals. So she goes to Armand's place in order to get more answers. And what she finds is some monogrammed butterscotch, right? But then she finds Armand dead from like a bow and arrow shot from the way it appears. Yeah, Kate runs out of the building, but then finds herself against the Russians and finds herself outnumbered by them. She tries to fight them off, but then she's ultimately saved by Hawkeye, who grabs her in the alley, takes the mask off, and they're both surprised by each other. Kate because she's starstruck by the Avenger that she considers her idol, and Hawkeye, he's disappointed because not only is his new Ronin a she, but also a kid. Now, we're about to talk about part 2, so let's go to that part. Hey, ready for part 2? I know I am. Alright. Basically, this second part is called Hide and Seek. That's the title of the episode. And it starts off with Hawkeye, Clint. He's escorting Kate through the New York streets, right? Interrogating her, asking her questions, basically taking shots at her because of her age as well too, right? They make their way back to Kate's apartment. Kate's revealed to be 22 years old, right? And it turns out that the tracksuit mafia, that's what the Russians are called. Yeah, they follow her back to her apartment, right? And they set it on fire using a bunch of Molotov cocktails, some of which Clint was able to deflect back at the bad guys. And before they bounce, Clint and Kate, they're able to douse some of the flames that they can before they escape the apartment with the dog that Kate found earlier. But the problem is they left the Ronin suit behind in the apartment. So for the time being, they set up shop in the apartment of one of Kate's aunts. And Clint, he decides to go back to the scene of the crime, the arson scene, to go find the suit, right? He's pretty stealth. He finds some fireman garb. He disguises himself as a fireman in order to get back in Kate's apartment and find the suit, but he doesn't find it in there at all. But what he does find is a clue that may lead him to where the suit is. So, but for the time being, he sends his children, all 3 of them, Cooper, what's his name? Yeah, Cooper, Lila, and Nathaniel, right? He sends them all back to their home, to their mother for the time being, but they all know what's up. They know about the ninja suit that they saw in the news, and Lila, she asks him about it, to which Clint categorically denies it, but then she tells him, you better be home by Christmas. To which he says he promises, but he won't. He even calls his wife, Laura, right, and tells her about what's going on. And she knows all about his history. He doesn't hide nothing from her at all, right? She knows about the tracksuit mafia. And the clue that Clint has in order to find it is to go LARPing. L-A-R-P, live action role play. Yeah, he goes to one of those events, and they actually treat him like a regular person. Yeah, they don't treat him like a celebrity like how everybody else has been treating him, saying, no, it's our pleasure, you don't have to pay. No, they treat him like a regular person, talk about, no, we know who you are, but you can't go up in there. And I'm sure Clint probably appreciates that a lot. Yeah, he participates in the LARPing event, follows all the rules, finds a guy who has on the Ronin suit, and eventually gets it back from him. Kate, on the other hand, Kate's back home, not back home, but still at her aunt's apartment, and Clint forbids her to go anywhere, right, because he doesn't want the tracksuit mafia to find her, but Kate, she's a headstrong girl who doesn't let anybody tell her what to do. So she goes to her job, which is at her mother's firm, Bishop Security, which Eleanor, her mother, owns, right? She puts on a pretty frumpy outfit that she finds in her aunt's closet and goes to the security firm. She finds her mother, who is admittedly high-strung. She finds her there with Jack, right, who Kate despises, as we know. Yeah, Kate thinks that Jack had something to do with his uncle Armand's death, right? Because the way she found him at the last episode. Yeah, and she's still working Jack, trying to figure out what he's about, because she doesn't think he's all that he's cracked up to be. Jack offers her dinner, right, to which Kate accepts on the condition that she gets to pick the topic of the conversation. And while they're at home having dinner, right, she grills him about swords, which is a pretty good segue into, a pretty good nod, not a segue, but a nod into Jack's comic counterpart as a swordsman, right? The guy that trained Hawkeye in the use of blades, trained Clint Barton before he became Hawkeye, right? They pretty much are working each other, very slyly working each other, to which Kate, she challenges Jack to a fencing contest right then and there, right? They have a fencing contest right in the home, and Kate is frustrated because she thinks that Jack is hiding something, which he is, yeah, but he disarms her pretty easily. He tries to offer her a peace offering, one of those candies, one of those butterscotch, one of those monogrammed butterscotch candies that we saw in the last episode that was in Armand's home, and that lets Kate know that he may have had something to do with his uncle's murder. Meanwhile, Hawkeye meets with the tracksuit mafia to get the suit back, but they rough him up and kidnap him, right? And Kate, she takes a taxi cab and tries to call Hawkeye, even though he forbade her to call him. He forbade her to call him earlier when they were in Times Square, right? I'll give you my number, but only call me on emergencies only. If you call me for anything else, I'm not going to pick up the phone. I'll block you. She calls him. He doesn't pick up the first time, then calls him again. He picks up, but somebody else answers the phone, somebody who's not Clint, which lets Kate know that something's up. And Kate, being a smart and resourceful girl that she is, she uses her mother's firm, her security firm's software to figure out where Hawkeye is. It turns out he's being interrogated in some warehouse, right? Some warehouse that's going to be converted into a loft later on, most likely. He's being interrogated about Kate's whereabouts. He doesn't know where Kate is, actually. He's telling the truth, but then right then and there, like almost on cue, Kate literally drops in from the ceiling. And with them both captured and tied up and bound, one of the soldiers for the tracksuit mafia goes upstairs and lets their boss, a female, know that they got them both. The female appears to be deaf and understands sign language, and this is reminiscent of what's it called, the Taskmaster from the Black Widow movie. Yeah, only this person right here is an entirely different individual. This is Maya Lopez, Echo, who appears to be just as disabled and has the same ability to mimic any human physical action that she sees. Yeah, so far, it's alright though. The action's alright. And this is really, the title character is more Kate Bishop as opposed to Clint Barton. But yeah, I'm going to keep on watching this. And just tune in next week. Hope y'all had a good Thanksgiving, and I hope you're having a good, happy Black Friday right now. Peace.